Hi, I'm Jack Canfield, and welcome to another segment of Talking About Success. My guest today is Leeza Steindorf, who's an international consultant and expert on communications and conflict resolution, conflict management expert. She's, when I say international, you've been in Europe for a number of years, consulting and working with companies and schools over there. She's an author. She has a number of books that she's written. One is called Core Success for Schools, with promotion in German as Frieden lernen. We're going to talk about what CORE means, because it's an acronym for, I think, a very powerful set of tools that you teach. And it's also cultivates transparent communications and positive corporate climates and personal excellence. You do a lot of things.
I do.
You have a broad spectrum of capabilities that I'm really excited to talk about with you. So let's start by talking about why you got into the work you got into. What is it about this work that captured you and made you so committed to it?
I guess first of all, on a personal note, that I have gone through transformation myself. From my own background, came from a very difficult childhood, a lot of aggression, and I was not a happy person, and so I did a lot of work on myself and realized that in recreating myself, I could recreate the world around me. And in working with individuals, I've seen them do that again and again for themselves, and then the corporate world started to open up, and companies were excited about that same possibility for their office space, for their employees, for their teams.
Great. So CORE, C-O-R-E, what does that stand for? What's it represent?
So C stands for clarity, to be very clear, to get clear on who you are, what you want, where you want to go. O is for ownership. So like in the success principles that you speak about, taking 100% responsibility for yourself, for your life, for your difficulties, for your goals, everything, for your mistakes. It puts you in the seat of power. R is for resolution. The work that I do, I'm a certified mediator as well, and I found that when I work with people and they find a way to understand themselves, understand each other, that conflict really dissolves. So that's what the R is for, resolution.
I heard you once say that conflict is an illusion. What do you mean by that?
We have an experience of being with somebody, having a conversation, and it feels like there's a friction that's almost palpable between us. So we plug into that and think that is the conflict, where actually the conflict lies in a lack of understanding of really getting what's going on. I've seen it again and again when I work with people. When they have the opportunity to hear each other, and I facilitate that there's not the defense mechanisms, and they're not trying to stand up for their own points, but say, that's what you're talking, is that what you really want? And I just see these difficulties drop away. And then the conflict really seems to have been an illusion, and then people are in a place to say, okay, well, that's not really what I want this, but then they're in a place to find a solution with one another. So I see conflict often as an illusion.
Okay, and then the E in CORE stands for?
And then the E in CORE stands for excellence, personal excellence. So to come from a place of your highest integrity, and in all of your actions to come from the highest and the best in what you're capable of bringing forward.
So when you work with corporations or individuals that seek you out, what is it you do for them?
So I have my services. I'm a consultant. I do corporate trainings and also mediation. I'm an executive coach as well. Those are the services that I offer. What I really love doing is helping people find in themselves their passion. If I'm working with a team, to help them understand where they're going, they end up with a cohesiveness, they end up being able to communicate clearly with one another, transparently and effectively, which is really the alpha and omega of the workplace, is communication. And again, ownership. People find pride in what they're doing. When an employee comes in, the Gallup did a poll, over 80% of the people that go to work are unhappy with their workplace, unhappy with their jobs. That's a huge percentage. And if companies knew that, they'd be working at trying to help their employees get more engaged, feel better about what they're doing, and the bottom line would go up, and it'd just be a really much more pleasant place to work and a lot more empowered people.
So give me an example. You've obviously been working with companies and groups and so forth. I want to hear a success story.
A success story. Okay, well, I think one recently that I was really excited about, I was asked to come into a corporation here in the United States, actually in Minneapolis, a large corporation, and they had a startup. They had quite a large amount of funding for this, and they asked me to come and do strategic planning for 4 days. And on the CEO of the corporation, as most bosses of that level have little time, said he couldn't stay for the whole 4 days. And after the first day, he said, you know what, I'm going to clear my schedule, and he was there for the entire 4 days. He engaged in the process, and although we did strategic planning, which is a very analytical, straightforward, technical, if you will, process, because of the way that I facilitate and I bring in non-judgment, I bring in these elements of transparent communication, ownership, resolution, and this group had a lot of contention amongst them. It was a difficult environment. By the end of the 4 days, there were a number of people in the group that said that they had a personal transformation. And the CEO was so thrilled about that. He said, how do you say thank you for that? And in addition to that, they ended up with a really fantastic strategic plan for their startup.
Good for you. Good for you.
It was fun.
No, I find that's true when you really do transformational work. It plays over into their families, their parenting, their community work, all their relationships.
Absolutely.
And it's the universal principles that apply all across.
Absolutely. I mean, we take ourselves wherever we go, right? So whatever training you're doing, sitting with me in your wonderful family life, you're bringing all of your richness to all of that. So
Absolutely.
there's a transference
So
everywhere.
talk about your parenting book. You have a parenting book.
I do. So as I said, my childhood was very difficult. My parents did the best job that they could, and I respect them for that, but they did not have tools that I would wanted to repeat when I had my own children. Unfortunately, when I had my first child, I realized that I had zero to few skills to really parent the way I wanted to.
Zero to few, I like that.
Zero to few. It was really minimal. And I was harsh and angry and unhappy, and I literally only had anger to manage the challenges. And you've got toddlers, there's a lot of frustration. So I went about recreating myself and looking for best practices. And over the years and the work that I did also in schools, I consolidated all the best practices and of parenting skills, of teaching tools into a program, Core Success for Parents, and started teaching that overseas, first in schools with teachers and then with parents. And I decided to put it into a book because there was such a demand. And I think that parents really need a lot of support. It's not an easy world out there for parents or youth.
And these are some of the same principles and practices that occur whether we're children, parents, or children in suits called business people.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Very
Yes.
good. Good for you. So if people want to find out more about your book, they want to contact you to be a speaker, a consultant, a trainer, where do they go?
So I have a website, coresuccess.com.
Core, C-O-R-E, success.com.
That's right, exactly, like the acronym. And they can visit me there. My phone number's there. I really enjoy giving people a free session of consulting to find out where they're at, what they need, and be able to tailor services to them and serve them best.
So nothing to lose.
Nope,
You can get
not
to,
at all.
I would say, having known you now for a couple of days before we actually did this interview, that I think you're one of the really heavy hitters. So I encourage you, if you're watching this and you need conflict resolution, you need better communication skills, you need to be more open and congruent and find your purpose and be aligned with it, whether it's in your corporation or in your personal life or in your school, I would encourage you to talk to Leeza. And she's offering you a free session where you can actually talk with her, get to know how she works, and find out if it's appropriate for you. What will happen, I think, is you're going to find a breakthrough will occur just in that, and you go, hey, I want more. And so I would definitely check that out. So one more time,
coresuccess.com.
coresuccess.com. So go there, check it out, and wish we had more time to talk, because I know you have
Likewise.
the depth of information, but we got to move on. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back after this message.
Thanks, Jack.